Welcome to Grace Hill On Air. Today's podcast is brought to you by SphereX.com, interactive marketing solutions.
Welcome to today's episode of Grace Hill On Air. I am Kara Rice, and today's topic we are going to hit on is social media. And for this discussion, I welcome a very special guest from outside the apartment industry. Please join me today in welcoming Lori Randall Stratman. Welcome to Grace Hill On Air, Lori.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Listeners, let me give you a little bit of background on Lori, if I may. You may be unfamiliar with Lori's name, but you're certainly not unfamiliar with her work if you spend any time on social media, that is. Lori has more than 8 years of experience in online communities and social media. In 2010, she launched her own company called Social Media Design. She specializes in creating social media campaigns that weave together communication threads, website, blog, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, into a strong campaign that captures the essence of a company's brand. Lori is a staff writer for Social Media Examiner and for Enterprise Efficiency, and a contributing writer for Smart Brief. Earlier this year, she was invited to be a keynote speaker at Blog World in New York City, which sounds like a whole lot of fun. Lori is also a regularly contributor as a guest lecturer at the University of Georgia for both public relations and Master of Internet Technology areas of study. And very exciting news, Lori just shared with me that she also has a new podcast launching in August. It's called Literally Social, and it showcases inspiring women authors in social media. When it comes to social media marketing, content, and design, there just aren't many that can compete with Lori's experience and her insights, so we're really excited to have her here. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Lori, let's talk about Facebook, please, to get started. Many of our listeners, as you know, are responsible for using Facebook to communicate with their customers, who in most cases are residents at apartment community settings. One of the biggest challenges I hear from clients is getting engagement from their residents. You know, it's one thing to come up with great content that they can post on their Facebook page, but how can they actually get their customers to engage with them and to start a dialogue? Any suggestions there?
Yes. First thing, make it fun. Publicize events online. A lot of times there'll be regularly scheduled events or, a little something special going on at the clubhouse or something. Make that known, make it into an event. You can even do a Facebook event for things that you have going on. Another thing, another angle that would be interesting to explore is kind of a meet your neighbors online via the apartment's Facebook fan page. It's a neat way to meet your neighbors. Some people are a little bit shy about meeting face to face, and this is kind of a cool way to check out the cute guy down the hall via Facebook.
Hey, that is an interesting suggestion. I really like it. Thank you very much. Another challenge that we hear a lot, Lori, and I'm sure this isn't specific to the apartment industry, but probably for business people as a whole, is a pinch on their time. They find that managing their page on Facebook and their social media presence as a whole is a time-consuming endeavor, and they had a full plate to begin with before social media even came along. So what suggestions do you have perhaps for efficiency and for time management when it comes to social media messages?
It's an excellent question because social media involvement can be a lot like Alice in Wonderland and the rabbit hole. And we can just go and spiral down and spend all kinds of time, and it's like, okay, what have I accomplished? Here are my goals. What have I done to achieve my goals today? And so I will introduce you to my secret weapon. Can you see it?
Is it an egg timer?
It's a digital egg timer.
Oh my gosh, what a crack up.
Cute pun.
I didn't even mean that, but you're right.
Yeah, and here's why. Because I can set this for, let's see, 2 minutes. And then I can go into Twitter and I can check mentions, respond to people, maybe tweet a couple interesting things. Nobody wants to have 15 messages screaming at them from Twitter at one time anyway. It's more useful to go in 3 to 5 times a day, depending on the intensity of your approach, and just do some interaction, give some interesting, entertaining information. Bing, you're out. And this, when it goes off, gives you permission. Okay, I'm done. And it's a nice way to focus all the way in because you're just focusing on that for that little interval of time. You know you're not going to go down the rabbit hole too far because you've got this that's going to, kind of jolt you out of that. It is a little mesmerizing. Social media, it's very carefully designed to be a little mesmerizing. It's not a mistake. And then with Facebook, the same thing, although I generally will allow 5 minutes maybe for Facebook. And on a fan page, especially one that might be a little smaller, I suggest only doing maybe 1 or 2 things on there a day. People get overwhelmed. And if it's a thriving, active community, maybe up to 3 times a day, maybe 4. I'm very careful not to push it too much, but to keep the ball in motion. So that's my suggestion. Secret weapon, for real.
I am cracking up. I was so sure that your secret weapon was going to be something very high-tech, but I'm delighted that it's low-tech. That makes it so much more approachable because I think every leasing office in the country can probably afford a digital egg timer. I'm guessing Bed Bath & Beyond, $5 or something.
Exactly. You mush the little button. Every time I sit down to my desk, I have this set for 15 minutes, and I pop it, I check email, I check messages here, there, and yonder. I'm just thoroughly social, and then bang, I get to work because I got stuff to do.
Sure. I love it. Okay, so just to recap, I think you said 5 minutes for Facebook and anywhere from 1 to, was it 4 times a day? Is that your recommendation?
Yes.
Okay.
And then on Twitter, 3 to 5 times a day, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. I mean, you can get, it's not the length of time you're on as much as the frequency, and that you're genuinely looking to see what people are saying and you're being real when you respond to them. And you can do that in a couple minutes.
Okay, excellent. So you heard it here, listeners, from the expert herself, how not to get sucked down that rabbit hole.
I mean.
I love it. Okay, so I've got a question, and I'm focusing on Facebook because that's the tool that I think our clients here at Grace Hill use the most.
Yeah.
Got a question with regards to the tone of the message. I've heard many folks say that it's wise not to be too sales pitchy on Facebook and to try to keep the sales offline or in other channels.
By all means.
So can I give you a little scenario here? Let's say you have a message that you think is actually of value to your audience, but it is a little bit sales pitchy, truth be told. So here's the example. Let's say you are an apartment community. It's the winter months. You have a garage come available, and that's appealing to your customers because they otherwise are parking outside where they have to scrape ice off their windshield, etc. But no doubt about it, it is something that you're selling because they would have to pay in order to rent that garage. Is this the kind of thing that you think is appropriate to post on Facebook, or should you really find another way to deliver that message to your customers?
I think it's an outstanding thing to post on Facebook, and I'll tell you why and how. The why is there's a benefit to people. You're not, it's all in the way you approach it. If you are describing a benefit that's of limited availability, then you're doing them a favor. Here's how not to do it. We've got 4 parking spots left, grab it now. That's a little pushy, especially when you put the price down. But it's like, you sell the sizzle, so to speak. We are lucky, and we just came into 5 parking spots. If you're sick of shoveling, give us a call. Something like that, something low key.
Okay, so it's kind of the tone of the message.
Yes.
Selling it more as the benefit to the resident as opposed to, that used car salesman shtick that you kind of put on a moment ago.
Horrifying, absolutely horrifying. We're all sick to death of late night infomercials. And it's true. And a lot of people have taken to social media that don't understand it as a medium, and they're treating it like cheap commercials. And I don't respond to that. I doubt you respond to that, do you?
No, that turns me off completely, and I'm sure it does to our clients as well.
Totally, and these are intelligent people. And so, no. It's you. If you have something of value, by all means, share it. But just do it in a way that expresses the benefit to them and in very low key. It's like, if you're into this, give me a call.
And you know what? I like what you said a moment ago. These are intelligent people. So let's not underestimate the intelligence of our audience and the fact that they don't want to be sold to in the same way that you and I don't want to be sold to, right?
Right. We come to social media for fun, sometimes for research, especially Twitter's great for research. But we come for fun, we come for research. We don't want to be sold.
Good. Good stuff. All right, ma'am, I'm going to ask you to break out your crystal ball for a moment, please, and forecast the future for me, if you could be a little bit of a fortune teller. Do you have any sense of what is the next big thing here in social media that we should be keeping our eyes on?
I do. I've got two things. I've got a tool and I've got a brainwave out there for anybody that wants to move on it. The first thing is, in terms of tools, Google Plus. It's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out, but it attracts mostly men at this point. Which is kind of interesting. I don't know about apartment demographics and why it would matter who you're leasing to or not leasing to, but you're going to see a lot of activity on Google Plus, and you will be perceived as being a lot more current if you're on Google Plus. And just a low-key presence, not a buy it now, but a really low-key, we're here, and you could give useful information about apartment living, how to do this, or what works for that, or, is this going on? Try this. That would be useful, and people would like that.
Ooh, thank you, Lori. Very good stuff about Google Plus. I'm glad to know it, and I know our listeners are as well. Now, I think that you promised you had one more tip.
Well, yes, there is a really cool trend in social media right now, and I think it's definitely wise to keep your eye on it. One site that is a great example of this is airbnb.com. It's airbnb.com, and it's a great resource sharing site. It's for places to stay, and think about a travel agency meets couch surfing, and it's that middle ground. And I can see an application of this for apartment managers and owners because people are always relocating. And if you have relationships with other apartment complexes in other cities, then you can post availability. They can post availability. You can post about people who need something in another city, and they can as well. It could be very useful networking, and especially if you get involved with relocation professionals.
That is very intriguing. So it'll be interesting to watch, and perhaps one of our listeners will take that idea and run with it.
There's money there.
Good, good. Well, we know they can call you if they need some help to get the job done, right?
Absolutely.
Speaking of, as we bring our conversation to a close, I want to make sure that our listeners know where to find you. So could you share your vital stats? How can they find you online, Lori?
By all means. You can go to my site, www.social-media-design.com. You can also visit me on Facebook, Social Media Design. You can find me on Google+, Lori Randall Stradman, and Twitter, Lori_Randall. And that's a lot of information. If you need to find me, Google Social Media Design. It's the #1 listing out of 400-something million, as I just discovered recently. So give me a call.
Fabulous. It doesn't get much better than that in #1 in the Google search. Kudos
I've
to you.
been amazed. You do smart SEO things consistently and good things happen.
Yeah, it's nice to see an example of that. Thanks. Well, Lori, I greatly appreciate you sharing all your insights with our listeners today. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Listeners, that is our show for today. Thanks for joining us on Grace Hill On Air. We will, of course, post a summary of Lori's comments on the Grace Hill On Air blog, as we always do. And in there, we will include her vital stats that she just shared here as well, so you always know how to reach her. If you have any feedback, I'm all ears, so please send it on. The best way to do so is by emailing podcast@gracehill.com. Thanks again for being here. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Grace Hill On Air.